Much, guys, and I'd like to kick this one off by saying congratulations to Cloud9. They are playing with the substitute, as D-Man rightly pointed out. We have the top 3 positions in the 2014 All-Star locked in. The #1 seed going 4-0 is obviously Korea, which is being represented by SKT Telecom T1K. The #2 seed that has already beaten every other region except Korea is North America. And Cloud9 has done their region proud. They are, of course, going to the semifinals. They get the side choice against OMG in their best of 3 tomorrow. Let's talk a little bit about this game. We were discussing the lane swap early on. We've seen the 2v1s early on. And in terms of some of the statistics, it definitely benefited Balls. He was CSing very well. He seemed to be handling that position superior to his opposite number.
Well, so going down in the bottom lane here in the 1v2, I wouldn't say unlucky, but once he actually got a time to farm, once a wave actually hit towards him on the tower here, he could pick up some farm. OMG started a gank himself actually on the bottom lane. He ran away from the minion wave, tried to join in for the gank, and nothing came out of it. Like, they didn't get a kill, the minion wave got killed, and then instead it actually started to push in the favor of Cloud9. So he got completely stoned away for at least 5 minutes. It was a thing we talked about yesterday with Monte Cristo. He showed on the replay how the minion wave, once you can freeze it push it towards you. It happened for him. So he was stuck on about 17, 18 CS for a long time where Balls was just farming away in the top lane. And it was a big deal because every time OMG moved top lane to try and help him, once they swapped back to 1v1 and 2v2, Cloud9 just took a dragon, took a tower, took something else on the map because Going needed so much help.
Yeah, not only that, but if we look at what happened later with the itemization, I think this really shows some flaws in OMG's mindset coming in. We were really surprised because as soon as Jinx swapped back into the bottom lane, she had BF, and then this is the curious part, an Avarice Blade instead of a Vamp Scepter, so she didn't have that sustain. So then Sneaky and Lemon were really able to push her into the turret, chunk her really hard, she wasn't able to stay in lane. So when you know your top laner's so down, you know, Avarice, of course, the greediest build, literally, and it was very questionable decision making because if they had been able to hold their ground a little bit better and stay in lane or provide some sort of map pressure, they may have been able to draw some attention to get going back into relevance. But that said, it was a really good read from Cloud9 to continue to press, and then they finished out the game beautifully.
I almost feel it's a little disrespect to play 0% lifesteal in the Leona lane because Leona doesn't offer too much zone forward. I mean, all you have is all in. At the same time, yeah, Relic Shield provides a little bit of sustain, but you need lifesteal either from your runes or from an early vamp, and if you get neither, you will get poked out. I mean, Morgana, Twitch is going to be able to poke you quite efficiently, and they can sustain up afterwards. And you saw that at one point they get poked so far down that the all-in is no longer an option because Twitch has so much raw damage output, or even Morgana can kill you. And I feel they misplayed the bot lane.
Yeah, I'm happy you bring up the Twitch because it's the second time that we see Sneaky getting his hands on that champion. I know Hai was tweeting about Twitch being the Sneaky being the strongest Twitch player out of North America. He really put his carry pants on this game. 7-3-7. He seemed to be in the right places most of the time. There was 1 or 2 team fights you could argue he was too far forward, but his opponents had no exhaust. You never felt like Sneaky was not helping his team in those team fights.
So he was very aggressive with his engages. Sorry, Fake, if I took it away from you.
No, go for it. It's okay.
He was very aggressive when it comes to engaging here, but keep in mind, he was pretty much the engage from Cloud9, actually. They had Shyvana who could flank around as well, or could land a binding from elimination to start it, but they actually needed Sneaky to come in there, pop out of stealth, and then try and hope OMG would stay and get a lot of damage from it and maybe collapse onto him, and they could then finish off the rest of the team.
Yeah, and that's just kind of the way that Cloud9 plays this type of composition. Like, Twitch plays into the Elise Morgana comp that they run, and I know when we were off camera we were kind of questioning, like, is Twin Shadows the right build for Morgana, but I think that's the composition. It's picks, and it's picks from places you don't expect. It's not, you know, out of nowhere comes a Thrashhook or whatever. It's Twin Shadows will catch you, or a Binding will catch you, or a Twitch will catch you. Like, pretty much everyone there has an ability to find someone out of nowhere and get those kills, and you saw the kill score overall is close for a while, but the fact that any one of these guys can initiate a battle, get 2 guys off the map, then go start Baron, come back, get 2 more guys off the map, finish the Baron, right? That was how they won the game, is just get 1 or 2 guys off the map, whether it's Sneaky on Twitch, who did a phenomenal job, or the rest of that lineup.
So there's 2 things I want to touch on there that you've just hit on, Freak. Cloud9 seemed to gain control longer, maybe it took them longer maybe to get control of the game than you maybe would have expected, considering they had 6,000 gold lead. I want to ask Monte about the OMG vision control, and then talk to me a little bit about how Cloud9 were moving towards finishing the game off.
Yeah, this is actually what really impressed me was how they identified their proper win condition to come out. Because if you look at the advantage, they know they have that big lead onto Shyvana going into the late game. And then, because of the farm difference, not because of the matchup, of course, in an even matchup, we'd call Trundle to have the advantage in that situation. But you're not going to be sieging with a Twitch against a Leona. You're just going to get hit. You pop out, and you're going to get hit by Solar Flare and then killed. And then Jinx is going to start resetting, right? So sieging not really an option. But if you get control over the Baron Pit with Vision with this composition, all of a sudden, they're so scared to go in because they have an immobile AD carry and the possibility of Elise or Shyvana coming over a wall right into your back line and then getting caught in a spray and pray and a choke point. So that was what they needed to do. They didn't have perfect vision control. They didn't quite sweep out the wards they could have used. We were talking here on the desk about an earlier Oracle's lens, but they played the strategy right and they eventually managed to grind it out.
Yeah, I want to touch on that a little bit. I do think the siege was going to be rough for them, not because of the Leona as much, because they actually had a Black Shield that could counteract the Solar Flare within time. But the Orianna Wave Clear combined with Jinx Rocket Spam and even build a Shiv would make it impossible to siege down one lane. They could try and open up the map somehow and like move from one lane to the other quicker, but that wasn't going to cut it. They needed to Baron bait. However, they ended up getting the Baron, but it wasn't performed successfully. In my opinion, as Freak said, he picked up the Twin Shadows. That should have been an Oracle's Lens, and they should have just maybe an extra pink ward even, reposition the pink ward wherever you needed. Make sure they have absolutely no wards, because if you guys remember, there was a little bit of a standoff in top lane where it kept going back and forth and back and forth. That's because OMG had a ward around Baron area, and they knew when Cloud9 actually went in or out of the pit, and so they could stay in their lane nice and safe. They didn't have to face any brushes, and that's where Cloud9 dropped the ball a little bit. However, they never did the Baron unsafely. They always knew 100% sure that it couldn't get stolen by Smite. So props to them for understanding how to close out the game, going for the Baron bait. Once the mistake was made of not getting the Oracle's Elixir, they still played around with that almost perfectly.
Yeah. And then also, I want to kind of point out how they closed it out the rest of the way. Was not a 5-on-5 siege where Orianna and Jinx just wave clear all the time. Eventually it was, I believe it was top lane or mid lane, right? It was Link and Balls, bottom lane, two-man pushing so that Orianna could be in one place, Jinx might be in the other, but like Lulu Shiv will dive one of those guys and kill that person. You saw the 2v1 going. So to close it out once they had Baron, even once the buff turned off them, it was opposite sides of the map, split push in, they will dive whoever Squishy defends, not 5-on-5, and that was another key point.
Well, thank you guys for your insight. We are about to go to an interview. Before we do, though, I would like to remind every single person out there that this entire analyst desk did not vote in favor of Cloud9 to win this game. We will need to see how they predict tomorrow in the semifinals. We're going to send it over to Shox right now as she